Coming in, they're off, get away first time, 15 of them for the Glenfarclas Crystal Cup, 31 of the cross-country obstacles to jump. They were already at the first. Vanillier, one of the greys, and 3x2 jump markedly out to the right. Just about the leading pair with Escaria 10 in the red and white handy, and they move on towards the Birch Island fence, which is number 2 on this first circuit. And half the field deciding to stick down on the inner, and the other half going a little wider, including Stumptown, who's in the dark green and yellow, and other of the greys, Cocoa Beach, Chemical Energy, Fakir Dudery, and the Goffer were the others who went wide over the Birch Island fence. On to the Aintree style fence, number 3, Vanillier over Escaria 10. And then Arizona Cardinal, who's in the black and green with 3x2, who will be right down on the inner as they go sharply into the turn. Hit that one, 3x2. And further back, it looks as though we've lost one down on the inside. And I reckon it was Isio Madrique who came down on the inner there, out of the race as they move on across the intersection. So the loose horse running in front of Mister Coffey, but Isio Madrique out of the contest at the Aintree fence as Vanillier leads on to the Glenfarclas barrels from Escaria 10. A good jump there from Delta Work in the maroon and white. Mister Coffey in 4th, and then the grey Cocoa Beach. 3x2 has drifted back into midfield as upsides Arizona Cardinal as they rise once more. Then Latenightpass, red and white silks, the striped sleeves for Gina Andrews aboard last year's winner, being followed by the Goffer and Bustleton and Fakir Dudery, and Stumptown in the dark green is towards midfield. Statuario in the light blue is towards the rear at this stage, and Chemical Energy, the red cap, is just about last of those that remain as Vanillier and Escaria 10 lead them out over the 8th. That was the timber rails. Delta Work is right in behind with Mister Coffey, Arizona Cardinal, and Cocoa Beach, who cut that corner, moving on now towards fence 9, the railed hedge. So Vanillier takes them to it over Escaria 10. Delta Work just flicking through the top of it. Good jump from Mister Coffey. Maroon silks for Nico de Boinville. And then Arizona Cardinal and Cocoa Beach from 3x2. Stumptown in the dark green. Bustleton in the blue and pink is upsides Latenightpass, then Statuario to Fakir Dudery and the McManus Hoops, the green and gold, and the Goffer and Chemical Energy are the final duo. With ears pricked, Vanillier just has the advantage over Escaria 10, each jumping soundly on that occasion. Slight error towards the rear from the Goffer. Into this next right-hander they go. Escaria 10, Vanillier, Delta Work, Mister Coffey, taking off and landing in 4th, just ahead of Stumptown. And then 3x2 in the sheepskin noseband. Cocoa Beach, the other of the greys, as they head across the intersection once more. Now Vanillier leading at a leisurely tempo over Escaria 10. Delta Work is very close up as they take the ditch, bank and hedge. That was the 12th, and now they go down to the 13th, which is the water. It's taken a couple of times in the race. Vanillier, Escaria 10 in the noseband. Delta Work is out wide. And then Mister Coffey and Arizona Cardinal, who were the next couple over. The Goffer, Chemical Energy, and Fakir Dudery are the final trio, with Statuario in the light blue just ahead of them. They turn on in and head towards the cheese wedges, which will bring them to the end of their first circuit in this Glenfarclas Crystal Cup. And the advantage is still with Vanillier over Escaria 10, Delta Work alongside. Being followed over the second part of the wedges by Mister Coffey, and then 3x2 to Stumptown and Arizona Cardinal, and then back towards midfield the grey Cocoa Beach from Latenightpass and Bustleton and Statuario and the Goffer and Fakir Dudery and Chemical Energy, and they've completed one circuit and they're moving on towards the 16th. Vanillier and Escaria 10. The leading pair once again. Over Delta Work and Mister Coffey, the nose-banded 3x2. Arizona Cardinal in the green and black, followed by Cocoa Beach and Stumptown. Latenightpass beginning to inch a bit closer. The white and red silks for Gina Andrews up into about, 6th or 7th position, just ahead of Bustleton. As they go across the track and across the ditch, bank and hedge, the 17th. It's the final time they'll cross that obstacle in it. Chemical Energy is at the back of the field last of all. The Goffer in the blue and red has got just he and Fakir Dudery behind. And they're heading across the middle of the track. It's Vanillier with the advantage over Escaria 10 and Delta Work. And then 3x2 who's racing close up. They come on towards the 18th. Mister Coffey, maroon jacket, has been popping away quietly in behind. Nico de Boinville has him no more than 3 or 4 lengths off the lead. He's tracked by Arizona Cardinal and Cocoa Beach and Stumptown in the dark green, who's alongside Bustleton and Latenightpass, and then Statuario and the Goffer and Fakir Duderie, and lastly Chemical Energy. He was a bit slow there, and it cost him 3 or 4 further lengths at the tail of the field. So heading over the intersection and bearing right-handed, Vanillier from Escaria 10. They've gone through the halfway point. The leading 2 over neatly enough, although Vanillier was out-jumped by Escaria 10. Not such a good jump there in rear by Fakir Duderie. He's still last but 1. Chemical Energy remains at the tail, and Vanillier and Escaria 10 have been the leading pair pretty much from the outset. There's 4 in a line in behind, however, racing very close up in behind them. Delta work with Mister Coffey and Arizona Cardinal. And then comes 3x2 and Latenightpass as they cross the water for the second and final time. Latenightpass just lingered in the air a little, out of the dip and back down in front of the enclosures, and they're about to embark upon their final circuit. They're moving on towards numbers 22 and 23. So Vanillier with the advantage still, a narrow one over Escaria 10, and then Delta work in the maroon and white to Arizona Cardinal, 3x2 against the rail to Mister Coffey, Bustleton in the blue and pink, and then the grey Cocoa Beach. Latenightpass next over from Stumptown, who's been given a patient ride, and then the Goffer and Fakir Duderie and Statuario and Chemical Energy. So they are now on their final circuit. They're moving on towards fence 24 of the 31. Heading to it then, Vanillier and Escaria 10. The grey Vanillier just with the advantage over Escaria 10. Each of them jumped it pretty well. There would be no more than 10 or 12 lengths covering the field. It's the Birch Island fence that's up next. It's the 25th. Vanillier out-jumped by Escaria 10, who went on there. Out wide, Delta work. Latenightpass is beginning to inch closer in the white and red. In behind them, Mister Coffey, Arizona Cardinal, 3x2. Cocoa Beach, the other of the greys. And then Stumptown in the dark green from Bustleton in the blue and pink as they come to the Aintree fence. This is the 26th. Cutting the corner, Escaria 10 on the inner of Vanillier. And then Arizona Cardinal, Latenightpass, Delta work. Mister Coffey, 3x2, followed by Stumptown. And then Cocoa Beach and Bustleton as Escaria 10 jumps well out in front. The Goffer is just about in touch, but Statuario, Chemical Energy and Fakir Duderie all look to be struggling, and we're heading now towards the closing stages. The Glenfarclas barrels the third last. Escaria 10, Latenightpass under Gina Andrews, though, moving off in pursuit. Stumptown moving into third as they come back onto the racecourse proper. 2 stuffed hurdles to jump. Escaria 10, Latenightpass closing. Stumptown jumped it in third. Looks as though Vanillier's run his race. They're heading back towards home. A long run to the last. Escaria 10 and James Best in front. Latenightpass, though, is inching ever closer on the left. Last year's winner coming there strongly under Gina Andrews. Stumptown in the dark green and Keith Donoghue are moving up in pursuit of the leading pair. Mister Coffey back in fourth. Here's the last. Escaria 10 from Latenightpass and Stumptown. Mister Coffey in fourth is staying on up the hill. Latenightpass being challenged by Stumptown. Escaria 10 fighting on. Mister Coffey joining in as well. Stumptown noses to the front. Mister Coffey the final challenger. Stumptown ridden out to make sure. Stumptown wins the Glenfarclas Crystal Cup. Mister Coffey placed again in a valuable race. Latenightpass chased them in. Then the pace-setting Escaria 10, and further back to 3x2.
Now then, Keith Donoghue, you've had some good times around this cross-country course, including on one of the best ever. That looked very, very good. Did you know Nico de Boinville was there?
Yeah, I could see the big screen. Yeah, I knew my lad wasn't doing much, so I just had to give him one little flick and he picked up again. But I knew he was there, yeah.
And to be that cheeky around here, you must have great confidence that the horse has got a fair bit left.
He does, yeah, and we're probably trying to think about March.
I know we're trying to just keep the mark realistic, but everybody's seen how good he's been around there. Talk me through him as an athlete over these fences and over the banks in Punchestown.
He absolutely loves them. He wasn't a great jumper of a fence, a little bit like Tiger Road, who probably wasn't a good jumper of a fence. But last year I just said it to Gavin, I think we'd try him for the banks in Punchestown. I'd schooled him, then I got injured, so I missed him. I couldn't believe how good he was. I got to ride him the last day in Punchestown, and I said to Gavin after, there's a couple of hedges in Punchestown. Obviously here's a bit different. I said he's the best, the closest you get to Tiger Road, jump them hedges.
Are they very similar to ride round here then?
No, you just can't get off the ground over these hedges. If you jump them at all, you lose ground. This head just goes through them.
Okay, so they're just nimble and lithe and athletic.
Yeah, he's a bigger horse than Tiger Roll, but he spends no time in the air. You can't spend any time in the air over these.
You must absolutely love it.
I love it. So look, I grew up hunting with the Ward Union and jumping hedges and gates with Paul Carvey. So that's as good as thrill as you'll get.
That's as near as it comes, is it?
Yeah, it's probably better.
Well done.
Thank you.
Cheers, Keith.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.